flowers like this. But this time the whole town is there, and you won't even get space. So social distancing and everything will be thrown to dogs. But because of the military settings around it, now you see the order and you see the discipline, and we see that this is the way it has to go.
We need to commend the planning committee for having put in a church an orderly ceremony or event.
And it is hard.
Yes. If they hadn't come out to put in those measures, I think by this time the forecourt of the conference center should be filled up. Yes, should be filled up. Kudos to the planning committee for having done a good job. And as we are seeing, I'm sure our former president will rest well.
Will rest well.
Filled with smiles.
If really dead people will stand there, they said that dead people, he was standing somewhere looking at and watching us. If he should be standing there, he would see that well. What he stood for has come to stay. Because the discipline that he really encouraged all of us to do, I think we see semblance of it at his funeral. Funeral procession. When we say funeral procession, for us in the civil rule, when we say funeral procession, that is. But then when we say funeral procession with the full military honors, what does it entail? What is it?
Well, first of all, the formal name for the funeral procession is a cortege, and that works in every other setting, whether military or civilian. So it's the formal name for the funeral procession is the cortege. Now, for the order of march for the procession we'll be having, when our late former president is moved from here to the Independence Square on Wednesday, we'll see this is quite a unique formation that has been set up for this instance. So first of all, his procession will be preceded by the quad bikes, and these will be handled by soldiers drawn from the 64 Infantry Battalion of Infantry, the Markham. Now, coming next in the procession will be the cavalry or the escort horses. These are soldiers and horses drawn from the 3-mounted squadron of the 153 Armored Reconnaissance Unit. So these mounted or cavalry or escort horses will be serving as ceremonial guards for the procession. And being a lifelong rider himself, you will see that there will be a riderless horse in the procession. Now this riderless horse is symbolic of his love for riding. So in this case, it is thought that the horse is his. So then you see that the riderless horse will be saddled and prepared for riding, but then the riding boots will be turned to face backwards. And then the riding crop will not be alone, it will be guided by a handler, but then no one will be riding the horse.
So no one will sit on the horse.
Yes.
So the person will be there holding maybe the strap and then walking.
Yes. So he was an equestrian, he was a riding enthusiast. So this is symbolic of him to celebrate that love for riding. Yes. Now after that, we'll have the escort and then the firing party. They will be doing their ceremonial 21-gun salute at the cemetery. Yes. Then the band will also be escorting the casket as it moves from here and throughout the procession on the final day to the cemetery as well. We also have the clergy in the procession, and then followed by the body on the gun carriage. When it leaves here initially, it will be placed in the hearse to the Independence Square. But in the final day on the procession, it will be placed on the gun carriage, which will be attached to a vehicle. Now, the gun carriage is an honor. When your body is placed on the gun carriage, is an honor reserved for generals and heads of state. Yes. So on the gun carriage, as someone might be wondering what a gun carriage is a frame or a mount that supports the gun barrel of an artillery piece, allowing it to be maneuvered and fired. Now, when we say a gun, in layman terms, everyone thinks a gun is a pistol, a small gun that you fire. But in military terms, the gun is a high or large caliber weapon. It's placed, and when those are the cannons, they sound like the cannons. They make very, very loud noises and shake the ground at certain points in time. So these are handled by the officers and soldiers of the artillery unit. Yes. And then they will also be firing at the cemetery as well. So now gun carriages have been used to carry the coffin of fallen soldiers and officers at military funerals, and also holders of high office with a military connection in state funerals to their final resting place. And the practice has its origins in war and appears in the 19th century in the Queen's Regulations of the British Army. Seeing as we were colonized by the British, that practice has also been inculcated here. Yes. So then we also have the pallbearers. Now here, the pallbearers provide security to the deceased or the fallen comrade. So in the case where the body is placed on the gun carriage, the bearer party will be flanked. The bearer party flanks the pallbearers, meaning the pallbearers will come next to the gun carriage, and then the bearer party will flank them on the outside. But where the casket is in the hearse, the pallbearers will also flank the hearse, and then the bearer party will be outside. But in the situation where the bearer party carries the casket, the pallbearers flank them as they carry the caskets to provide that ceremonial respect and then security as well. Now, in this case, the pallbearers will be brigadier generals. Yes, considering his rank and his position in society as a statesman, pallbearers who will be doing the ceremonial duty for him are almost very senior officers.
Senior officers.
Yes, brigadier generals and same rank within the other arms of service. Yes. After that, we'll have the family and then the wreath bearers. Yes. They'll come next in the procession. We'll see that, well, this is the procession that will be going along the streets, but when we get to the cemetery, other players will be added. So we'll see the insignia bearers, the chief mourners, the presidential's representative, mourners in uniform, and then mourners not in uniform. Then we'll also have the rear detachment and then vehicles. When we get to the cemetery, we'll see that a whole procession will be done from the gates of the cemetery towards the grave. So it's a whole ceremony that is conducted. Give the utmost respect to the fallen comrade.
We're still at the Accra International Conference Center and at the funeral of former President Jerry John Rawlings. Born 1947 and died 2020 at age 73.